This is Michael Luchies, and I'm joined here with Micky Deming of Entrepreneurial Community TREPX and Kahuna Accounting. Micky, how are you?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Now, what is TREPX?
TREPX is right now a work in progress. We just launched this, and our vision is to create a bit of a virtual incubator, helping entrepreneurs grow from amateur to pro. And what we mean by that is not something insulting, calling people amateurs, but a lot of people, as entrepreneurs, are professionals at what they do, but are amateurs in terms of how to grow the business. And the way we describe what we would provide is through, I guess, using these three words: learn, live, share. And so a big component is obviously the learning and the education, and this is what we're really focused on right now, is educating on what you need to know, how to set up a business, some of the fundamentals, and how to grow it, how to think about marketing. But then within Live is to connect with other entrepreneurs, connect with other people that are doing it, and see what they're doing, learn from their experiences, and also connect with tools that work. It's a very noisy world out there right now, and there is constantly something being put in front of our faces of, you need to try this, you need to do this, you need to work on this. And so our goal is to be a filter to connect with tools that we have tried and proven that entrepreneurs can use, and then ultimately to share and to give back. And so as you go through your entrepreneurial journey, you want to give back to other entrepreneurs and contribute to their success, share the stories. That's why we do a podcast for really all three of those, to learn from experts who have been there before, and to give entrepreneurs who are working and growing an opportunity to share what they're doing and what their story is.
So who would you say TREPX is ideal for?
It's ideal for a service-based entrepreneur, 1 to 2 employees, who has developed a bit of momentum. So it's not for, I have an idea and I'm trying to start a business, and it's also not for someone who is seasoned and has systems in place. There's a lot of people who have a passion and a business that they start, and they really don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but they're committed to it and they put a lot of time in. And then after a couple of years, they start to actually have some success, and it works, and they get momentum, and then all of a sudden a whole new set of questions arise. In the early days, the only question is, how do I get this thing off the ground? How do I get more customers? How do I work with anyone to validate that this business can go somewhere? But then after a couple of years, if that starts to take off, then new questions come up of, how do I know what my financials look like? How do I look forward 6 months into the future? How do I plan to hire someone so that I don't have to do all the work? And even questions of marketing. The marketing in the early days is really just selling and networking and connecting, but then there's systematic marketing that works for a sustainable business. And so our ideal client or customer is someone trying to make that transition from just the hustle and grind to something that is sustainable and long-term.
So why are communities important for entrepreneurs?
There's a lot of reasons. I think mainly because we can't do it all. Contrary to popular belief, entrepreneurs can't do everything themselves. And so you will have to, no matter how much you hustle and try, you'll have to rely on others to achieve the things you want to do. And I think it's more fun that way. I think, I've been a great beneficiary of other people's talents surrounding me. And I think the more we surround ourselves with others who complement what we can do, the more we benefit. And so one really practical thing is, like, think of everyone has strengths and weakness, and the more you're self-aware, the more you'll succeed as an entrepreneur. If you think you're good at everything, you're probably wrong. You're bad at some things. I hate to break it to you. And so the more you're aware of the things you're really, really good at, the more you can invest in those things. and the more you can surround yourself with people who are really, really good in the things that you are weak at, so you don't have to spend your time on them. And I think that's really what a community is all about, is allowing people to play to their strengths, which works better for everyone.
So you made it clear that TREPX is more of like a goal-focused entrepreneurial community than most. There seems to be a lot of these communities without a lot of direction as to what's right for who and what somebody's really going to get out of it. Do you agree in what makes a specific community good or bad for any given entrepreneur?
I think part of it may lie in, like, if people don't get a lot out of it, it could be because of the community, or it could be because of the entrepreneur. And I think sometimes you have to think, what is the purpose of a community? And if you come into it thinking the purpose is for this community to help, to take me from point A to point B, then you're probably looking at it in the wrong way. I think entrepreneurs, the way a community will benefit them the most is if they are driven and moving forward and going somewhere. And then the community is a way to kind of align yourself with others who are going along their own trajectory as well. The community is never meant to replace the work and the growth that you put into it. And I think if a community tries to be that, or tries to sell that if you join this, then you will be taken to this place, that's never going to be an expectation that works well for both sides. If a community says, we will connect you to others, we will share stories, we will be there for you as you grow to support you and supplement the things you're already doing, then I think that can create something really powerful.
But I feel like a lot of communities, especially the ones that you end up paying to join, do promote that. They do sell that. Do you see that as well? And I mean, I'll connect you with other people, is the whole network piece really attractive enough to get new people when there's so much other noise and so many other communities out there?
Yeah, I think that comes into something where a big component of the community is being different enough that there is a connection. And I know a lot of the value I've gotten out of communities that have not been something I've paid for, but just people that I've met and connected with have just been the authentic, genuine connections from getting to know people. And I think, and if an environment can allow that and can be unique enough to understand that some people are not going to be attracted to the message of this community, then it can really create a sense of involvement and meaning to where the people that join it know that it's something different, and know that it's not just that I'm being connected with another human being, but it's another human being who shares the same type of passion and movement that I have going.
So how do you find the right groups and networks to join, and how can an entrepreneur find the right community for them?
I think point number one is to always be moving forward. So whatever your goal is as an entrepreneur, whatever you are going after, is to go after that thing with an intensity that nothing will stop you. And the reason I say it that way is because when you do that, you attract other people who are kind of walking that same journey. And that's really happened a lot with me, is like the things that I've been going after. Like, for example, with Kahuna Accounting, we started to really focus in on the niche of small and solo law firms. And as we went after that, I tried to meet everybody within that niche that I could possibly meet. And my goal wasn't to create a community. My goal was to grow an accounting business. And as I met those people, I started to make some really powerful connections with others who were interested in that niche and in that world. And so if you're looking to create a community, sometimes the best thing you can do is to go after whatever you're going after and just be aware of who else is there. who else can I talk to and meet and ask questions and learn from? And as you do that, your community can kind of create itself organically.
And what advice would you have for making the most out of that community? So we always hear this, give, ask, and find ways to provide value to the community before trying to get a lot out of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I've run into that before. And a lot of times you think, I want to give and I want to add value, but sometimes it's like, I don't know if I have something for that person right now. And it can feel really forced. And so I think the best thing to do is ask a lot of questions. And sometimes to just have a conversation, a 30-minute conversation, and where you don't go into it saying, okay, I really want to do something for this person, but just to ask them questions and hear what they're going on, and then share what you have going on. And I think the value opportunities kind of present themselves rather than you forcing it, if that makes sense. I think the advice as far as how to get the most out of the community is to have conversations with people, to have actual real on the phone or over Skype conversations or over coffee, where I take some time sharing what I am working on, and be honest. Don't try to act like you have everything figured out. Have that conversation and share what you're struggling with, share what's hard, and share what here are the things that I don't have figured out yet. I'm not asking you to solve them for me. I'm just laying it all out on the table. And then you then ask them questions and provide the same kind of ear for those conversations from them. And I think, number one, that helps you a lot in clarifying what you have going on. Number two, it helps you learn that, okay, I'm not alone, because the person you're talking to is going to relate and going to have a story that has some similar patterns. And then the third thing it does is it could provide those opportunities for value, to where they may say, this, I have this going on and that, and this is my number one goal is this. And you may not be able to solve it, but you can connect them to a person who can. That may not be the explicit goal of the conversation, but as you are open and genuine with what you're working on and what you're struggling with, I think those opportunities for value really come in. And you get a lot out of a community, purely by opening up about what you're going through. I think one of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs have is it's very, very lonely. And when we get kind of isolated, we think that the challenge that we're facing is something that no one else has ever seen before in the history of the world, and that's never true. And so the more we talk about it, the more a community, even if it's just one person, can draw out, some of the similarities and, solutions that we may have never been able to see.
And what will success look like for TREPX?
I think that could take a lot of different directions. That's a good question. I think ultimately for us, even if it's a small group, success is that we can tell stories of entrepreneurs, tell stories of growth. I think the ultimate goal for us would be that I don't think there will ever be someone who puts TREPX on a pedestal and says, wow, look at TREPX. I think our goal is to be small in terms of our profile and magnifying the entrepreneurs. And so I think success would be the success of a group of entrepreneurs of, even if it's a handful, who have taken their business from, today I am completely overwhelmed. I am, working 80 hours and I'm stressed and I don't have time to even deliver on the things that I'm doing, to, in a year, through things they've learned, through connections that we've made, or through tools we've turned them onto, that they would be able to free themselves from that and build a business and feel like a business owner and not just an employee of their own business and feel trapped. And so for us, that may never be, wow, TREPX did that for me. It would be all about that entrepreneur. But for them to come back and tell us the story, that they went from point A to point B, and it feels good, and they feel like they have control of their life and their business. To contribute in that for even a few entrepreneurs would be an amazing success for us.
And for service-based entrepreneurs, so whether within an entrepreneur community or not, what would be one thing you would tell them that they should do today, that they should work on today?
Oh, man, it depends on the entrepreneur. What's one thing? Gosh, I might lean towards, just because this is fresh in my mind, and I know it's so boring, but I lean towards the financial, because I've been in that world through Kahuna Accounting, and we work with entrepreneurs every day to help them organize their financials. And that sounds so boring, and it sounds like, oh man, he's just pitching, what they do. But I have seen so much power in that, because and it's the same with personal finance. I think a lot of times, with personal finance, it's intimidating, and we don't really want to talk about it, and we just kind of, if we make more money, then the whole financial thing will take care of itself. And we've been able to see a lot of entrepreneurs kind of transform the way they think about their business in terms of, in that A2P, amateur to pro. You feel like a pro when you have financial statements provided for you. And so as far as one thing to do today, actually, I did a podcast interview with an expert, Philip Campbell. So this is part of what we want to do at TREPX, is bring on experts, because I'm certainly not an expert on very many things, so I like to talk to other people who are really smart. And this guy, Philip Campbell, shares some really, really practical tips about how to understand the financial awareness of your business. And so I know a lot of entrepreneurs want to grow, want to have just more of a feeling of control. Philip Campbell is a great resource. And Kahuna Accounting, we have a lot of resources too. But to take your financials seriously, I guess would be my advice, to look at them and say, do I know where I stand today in terms of business finances, and do I know what I expect to see 6 months from now? I think those pieces are huge. The other thing I'll share that's, this is less boring about the accounting, is to give your elevator speech to someone today, and don't try to sell them on anything, but to share your vision for what you're working on and where you're going. Find someone who you trust and who you know and who you think could be a valuable connection, because like I was saying before, there's an unbelievable power in just describing what you're working on, what you're struggling with, and what you're going through. And when we do that, a lot of cool things happen. And so find someone today or this week to just explain what you're going through, and that kind of pulls you out of that isolation. And I think you see your business from a little bit of a different light.
Yeah, it's amazing what talking to others can do. Even if you think that what they're working on is, not related at all, they might know somebody that can help you, or know a potential lead. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you just start to open up and talk to different people about what you're working on.
Exactly, and I think the obstacles in front of you become smaller once you talk about them and identify them, and when even just the question that person might ask might help you see the obstacle from a different angle, and then all of a sudden it becomes a little bit less intimidating.
So how can people find out more about TREPX?
Yeah, you can go to TREPXgroup.com. That's where all the info is. You can find our podcast, and our podcast is on iTunes and Stitcher, but a good place to start would be TREPXgroup.com, and then you have the links for those places as well.
All right. Once again, this has been Michael Luchies with Micky Deming. Micky, thanks again for your time.
Thanks a lot, Michael. This was fun. I appreciate it.